Welcome to Ibis Weather. This is Sarah. This is the update for February 11th, 2026. Apologies for the break that I did take. Life sometimes gets in the way, and since we had relatively calmer weather for the past week, I felt like it was okay to take that time off and enjoy that, as I also had a birthday that happened this week. So I did go ahead and just reward myself the time. But also, I felt it was a little bit too early to talk about some of the stuff that other people on the internet was talking about, which is the possible Valentine's storm that we may be seeing this weekend. I wanted to give it a little bit more time because I felt a lot of this information and a lot of people doing separate clicks from people saying essentially it was going to be a mini hurricane to it being this massive severe weather event, which again, all that seems to be super hype. So I wanted to wait until we got a little bit closer before I came to give you guys the facts. As you guys know, as I often say, if 2 weeks, even a week out in time before something happens, we usually just don't have a good hold of what's going to happen with the weather. So I didn't want to come here and give you guys information that was going to be changing so frequently, something that we really did not have a very good grasp on. I feel like now that we're at the end of Wednesday, I feel like we have a little bit better idea of what will happen and framing. And also, that's kind of where we get closer to the outlooks being issued for the weekend and possible weather conditions. So I wanted to share. So let's go ahead and get started. We are looking at the live radar right now for the United States, particularly the lower 48. We do see some snow and rain showers over there in Nevada and California, a little bit into Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, and Nebraska, and then, of course, the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. We do have some snow over there by Chicago and um, Michigan, upper and lower peninsulas, of course, over there by the Great Lakes, up into New England, and of course, the southern, southeastern Canada area as well. We also have a little bit of rain showers over there by Miami and Bahamas, and then a little bit over there in South Carolina, offshore South Carolina by the coast, and some are popping up into Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi. So let's go ahead and take a look at any watches. Definitely different views from what we've seen in the past couple of videos where we had a lot more watches and warnings and advisories. So as of right now, on again February 11th, we do not have any advisories. If watches and advisories are issued, they probably won't start being issued until tomorrow or into Friday. Um, so, of course, that's why we're not really seeing it, but it's a pretty quiet across most of the country. Hopefully, people are enjoying that, not extreme weather, and maybe getting a little bit of a break from being glued to social media, hearing the hype that a lot of people have been selling for the past 2 weeks. Okay, let's go ahead and look at what we're talking about this possible Valentine's Day storm. Does it seem like we're going to have bad weather over the weekend? It's possible, and I'll get into why it's possible. We are seeing a little bit of a pattern switch for the month of February, which is interesting because this is happening all after poor Punxsutawney Phil was saying no, we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter last week, and that's just it's not shaping up to be that way. At least for areas that had a harder winter last month, past few weeks. It looks like the pattern what we had, where we had abnormally cold on the eastern half of the U.S. from the central to the eastern half, and the warmer, drier climates from again kind of the central to the western portion is kind of going to flip. We'll get more into that towards the end of the video. I know you guys want to know, okay, give us the information. Are we going to have severe weather on Valentine's Day? Are we going to have tornadoes falling out of the skies? Are we going to have mass flooding rains, hail, disastrous winds? Right now, that doesn't appear to be the case. Is the potential for certain storms to pop up and possibly become severe? Yes, but this is not a mass event that's going to be happening where we're going to see a large tornado outbreak, which is good news. Obviously, it's starting to see a little bit more of a switch to springtime weather here. It's kind of a little bit earlier for the central part of the country. That doesn't really start typically until March through May, as we know. But I'm starting to see it happen a little bit earlier. Will it stick around? We have to kind of wait and see in the next couple of weeks leading up. But we are about halfway over the month of February already, which is crazy to think about. So it's possible we just might be getting a little bit of an early start. We did see a little bit of an early start of winter last year in colder weather. So I would say about the amount of time we had the colder weather before it switched to the warmer seems about correct, just being a little bit earlier. And this might have all to do with El Nino possibly forming into um, the northern hemisphere. So again, we'll probably get more into that in the future about El Nino, La Nina, what's going to happen. Of course, people's predictions for hurricane season, which is one of my major loves of weather, is to talk about that and tracking that. Of course, we're still too early, but this has been fun too. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying, and if you guys are enjoying it, please like. Share and subscribe. I would love to know where you guys are located and what your current weather conditions are. I think it's always interesting to see. Even if you are not in the US, but you are a person who loves weather, let me know what country you're in or what your weather conditions are. Who knows? Maybe eventually I will go more on a little bit of a global weather theme, particularly if we have major weather events going to happen across different countries. That would be kind of fun to watch. But anyway, back to the topic of this weekend, Valentine's weekend. And possible severe weather. So right now we're looking at, if you're wondering, what is this map? This is the SPC, so that is the Severe Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma. They put these out every day. This is now they only go really as far as 3 days out. So, for instance, we're looking at this one. This one was issued today, and this is good from 12 o'clock Friday until midnight Saturday. And this is, if you go, they do have a map technically for day four and others, but if you do look at that, which maybe I'll show that next, it does show you that it's just not reliable because just, again, weather, it's a science, but it's not something that is predictable by a long shot, which makes it part of the reason why it's so fun to follow. But this is the map for convection um, and a risk of convection, which is what we need when it comes to tornadoes and severe weather. So you do see we do have a marginal risk right now, as of today when they issued this from southeastern Arizona across southern New Mexico up into West Texas, into the Panhandle, and a little bit over there in the Dallas Fort Worth area, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Um, Marginal and what we see T storm. So the lighter green is for thunderstorm, and then the darker green is marginal. So really, the chances of what they're thinking right now of severe weather outbreak for these areas are pretty slim. Again, something small could become a small storm. A couple storms could become severe, and even when it becomes severe, does not always mean you're going to have tornadoes. Technically, you can have really bad lightning, and that will be classified as a severe thunderstorm. Hail, heavy rain, high winds, any of that will make it considered severe. So don't just think when you think of severe, that automatically means you're going to be having tornadoes. That's just not the reality of it. And right now, it just doesn't look like that is what we're expecting. Part of it is we're just too early in the season for it. And we just really haven't had enough time for the atmosphere to really kind of heat up for it either. So, you know, we are seeing this. Now, if you're wondering, okay, well, why are we starting to see this already? This is because we are having moisture from the Pacific coming across over into the south central portions of the U.S., and there will be a cold front coming through that will intermingle with the warmer, humid climate, which is what is needed to create severe weather. Again, not a major outbreak, nothing major. I wouldn't say this something means you need to go out and get your preps done. Now you might have pockets of nasty weather over the weekend in these areas. Again, this is just for Friday afternoon into midnight Saturday. Tomorrow we'll see this map change and this area will shift, and we'll look at it, for day two and day three, etc. And we'll continue to monitor that until we get to early next week of this. But right now, it's not this great risk that people have been talking about for weeks, which is good news for sure. Maybe it makes it for not an interesting time to monitor weather for others, but I can assure you this is good news for all those who are on the green parts of this map. So again, let's go ahead and take a look at why we're talking about this. So you can see over here we do have a cold front and a warm front intermingling. So you do see that. This dashed line would be dry air or dry line, I should say. So when you see that mixed in with cold and warm air intermingling, that's not good. This is more of a springtime pattern, and it does mean the threat of severe weather is possible. As you notice, pretty much all those areas that we saw in this map over here. I'm not sure what did I click on here. Let me go back to. Okay, here you go. which we'll also talk about in a moment, the cities that are in possible risk for this. Basically, all the areas that are in the two shades of green here are over here as well. We do see it reaching out a little bit more into Tennessee, into Alabama, the very western, northwestern half of Alabama, good half of Mississippi, all of Arkansas, southern half of Missouri, northern half of Louisiana, and most of Texas, except for the very coastline of it. Um, and then even like Colorado. So we're talking about, your prairie areas of eastern Colorado into Kansas, also having a risk of rain. Um, this pattern over here of green is rain and thunderstorms, which is probably where your greatest risk would be of severe weather. This one does show it being a little bit more of a wider area than what this one is showing. Let's see, this was issued. Sure what time this was issued, per se. So, and I'm not sure over here either. Not really giving it. Oh, okay, this was issued 3 a.m. or almost 4 a.m. this morning. So depending on when this was again, I'm so sorry about that. With this being issued. Okay, here we go. That, why there's a difference there. So that is always interesting to know. But again, I would say I would more or less go based off of this map. Anywhere in the pattern area, you're likely to see a chance, a very small chance, of course, that is. So not, anything major happening, not a major threat, major outbreak. Probably not even really that much of a tornado threat, which is good news. I would say it's probably more just heavy rain, some wind, and of course, lightning is probably greatest risk here for this. But it is definitely more of a spring area. We do see northern Arizona, northern New Mexico, most of, kind of like south central Colorado and southern Utah also having the risk of snow in the Pacific Northwest, um, or mixed precipitation, I should say, but that probably means snow, and then of course snow for the Great Lakes region into the Mid Atlantic. So nothing again super impressive, but this is always interesting to see. And we do see a little bit of a chance of rain over there by Miami and Fort Lauderdale as well. Again, you see kind of a dry line here on the map over there from South Carolina on up to the Mid Atlantic, working its way out. And then, of course, dry line coming down from Canada and being just north of where this low pressure system will form, where you'll have again the cold air and the hot air intermingling. So that's why we're thinking that. So let's go ahead and take a look at convection. As I was mentioning earlier today, you can't have severe weather without convection. Normally you would hear this CAPE, which means most unstable air. Typically, the higher amount of CAPE that you have, um, that is needed for severe weather. So as you can kind of see right now for today, 6 p.m. on February 11th, we do see most of it being pretty, low. The Cape levels are not super great, which is good news. We don't want severe weather. Interesting, as we saw on the radar, we did see some thunderstorms over there, kind of off the coast of Georgia and South Carolina, a little bit into the states and across into northern Florida and southern Alabama, Mississippi, and eastern Louisiana. So we do see those areas do have slightly higher Cape. So obviously, I think it's part of the reason why we're seeing some rain showers there. But again, not enough to cause a severe weather outbreak, which is good news. So let's go ahead and go forward. Let's go ahead and see what 48 hours. Let's see. So this will be 6 a.m. Friday. And again, you can kind of see where we're starting to see a little bit of the Cape coming, a little bit of a higher risk over there in Oklahoma into the western Dallas Fort Worth area, a little bit into the southern panhandle. Let's go to 2 p.m. Oh, and we have to load once. Let's go back to one. Okay, and then there we go. So over here we do see again that same area that we saw earlier. Okay, that was 48 hours. So let's go here. Okay, so this would be for, let's see the time. This would be Friday at 2 p.m. So you see the greater risk. So you see more of the yellows and oranges over there in western Texas, kind of entering southwest of the Dallas area, and a little bit into Oklahoma City. Even over there close to Wichita, we're seeing higher Cape levels. Again, not super impressive, but does mean the risk of severe weather will be possible. Again, this is just kind of a model, so obviously we won't really know until the day of what the Cape values will be for Friday until Friday, obviously. But this is what these models are thinking. Let's go ahead and jump down to Friday at 10 p.m. And we do see, yeah, so typically, as what happens is when you have daytime heating during the daytime hours. So, as you saw from midnight to the afternoon, we did see an increase of Cape there, which is because of daytime heating, which does help cause more instability, which again makes greater risk of severe weather. So, by 10 p.m., when the sun starts settling, you do see it starting to fade away, which is good news. So, that is definitely good news for the Southern Plains. So let's go ahead and look at Saturday, 6 a.m. to see what they think of that. So we do see the Cape slowly starting to build up again, kind of from central Texas on down southwestern Texas. 2 p.m. So that would be the greater risk for Dallas all the way down to Houston and San Antonio. Again, nothing super crazy. I'm definitely not seeing reds or pinks, which is good news, but you definitely see a risk of some um, instability in the atmosphere that might cause some severe weather. Again, not a major outbreak, but it is possible something will happen. Some storms might become severe in their nature. Let's go ahead and take a look at 10 p.m. So we definitely see a higher Cape over there from Houston to southern Texas and going into Louisiana and Arkansas. Again, it looks like the greatest risk of higher amount of Cape will be offshore, just offshore of Texas. So that is good news. Do you see a little bit into eastern Mexico as well? Again, this is just a model. This is not the actual Cape values for this weekend. So we'll have to see how true this is. And I believe this is only the euros, not even for the GFS, which would be the American model. Let's go ahead and see Sunday at 6 p.m. And we're seeing an ad there again. So let's go back to here. So we see this time approaching the southeastern coast. Again, not super powerful, which is good, but definitely some higher Cape values. Some up to 600 values, 250, 100. Again, more southern you are and more southwest that we will be, you have a greater risk of higher Cape values than right on the coastline. Let's go ahead and take it until Monday at midnight to see, and then that's when it's just offshore in Florida. Luckily, it does not look like they will be getting a lot of major Cape values, so it does look like off Fort Lauderdale, and Miami into the Bahamas, they might have a little bit of a greater chance of that. Let's go over here. So yes, let's take this back. So yes, so from 6 p.m. until Monday midnight, we will see again the risk. What will the exact numbers be for Cape? We just don't know yet. This is obviously just one model. Let's go ahead and see if we can do the GFS one quick and see how this differs from change dates. Okay, here we go. So let's go ahead and see what it shows today at 6 p.m. to kind of give us an idea. So similar to what we saw with Euro. So this is probably more accurate than what their predictions will be. Let's go to 48 hours, which will be Friday at noon. See, so again, we see this one taking it mostly into Dallas and Oklahoma, a little bit into Arkansas. Let's look at Friday 8 p.m. Lovely ad. So we see it kind of building up in Houston more. This one, funny enough, has the worst of it more to the west of where it was earlier for the day, which is interesting. Again, this is just one model run. Does not mean that we'll see Cape values of this low or at this location. We'll just have to wait to see into Friday. Saturday at 4 a.m., lower values. Saturday at noon. So again, kind of what we saw with the euro, we're seeing a greater risk from Oklahoma City all the way down to San Antonio, Texas. This one is showing not as high Cape values as the euro was showing for it, which is good news. Um, let's go ahead and click here. So this is, what would this be? Scroll down. to see. This would be 8 p.m. Saturday, so we do see them showing by that time, just in that late in the day, the greater risk over there in southern Texas, but Dallas to Houston, San Antonio not being in the greater risk of that, which is good for you, them. Um, that would be for Saturday, I believe. Yes. Let's go ahead and see 4 a.m. for Sunday. So we're seeing it increase the Cape values for Louisiana, but again, not the greatest amount. That will stay offshore according to the GFS. Sunday at 12, you see Alabama and Mississippi starting to experience it, and New Orleans, leaving New Orleans, again, greater values would be to the Gulf. Again, I think one of the reasons why some people were thinking this will be like a mini hurricane here. I mean, as we get closer, we'll kind of see if there's any spin or anything down here, considering the Cape values are higher. But again, this is just model runs. Does not mean we actually will have Cape values that high for the Gulf. Um, let's see what this one is. And this is for Sunday at 8 p.m. So here it's really showing the southeast not really getting much of anything. Again, staying mostly offshore. Let's see at 10 p.m. So those moving slower. The front moving through slower on Sunday. Let's see what Monday. So definitely has it slowing down compared to what we saw with the GFS. So again, this is just one model run, does not mean it will happen. Let's go ahead and take a look at actual some of the model runs. So this is showing for Thursday midnight. So you do see this again, GFS. It does show rain going all the way from southern Texas across Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia into South Carolina. So that does seem accurate. We do see some rain and snow showers kind of over there in California, a little bit into western Wyoming as well, Rocky Mountains, and of course snow into the New England areas. Go forward, going forward in time. So by 6 a.m. Friday, we start seeing some storms and snow showers mixing up over there into the Four Corners by midnight Saturday, which will be on the day of Valentine's by 6 a.m. We do see it starting to kind of grow and stretch into Texas and Louisiana, or Arkansas. Oh my goodness, a little bit into Arkansas and Oklahoma, not into Louisiana yet. By noon, we see it entering the metro areas of Oklahoma City and Dallas, going to Missouri and Arkansas. Again, seeing it lingering over there into Texas. We do see more impressive heavy rain over there in Arkansas and Louisiana by 6 a.m. Sunday. Kind of breaks apart a little bit, weekends, and we see it picking up speed throughout Sunday. Then by Monday morning, at midnight, Monday, February 13th, it will be in the southeast portion of the country by 6 a.m., starting to push its way offshore for southeast. So, again, that is just the GFS. Let's go ahead and see what the Euro is going to show. Okay, so again for midnight tomorrow, Thursday, so in a few hours, less than 6 hours now, we'll see this one showing, interestingly enough, not really that much rain showers over the southeast. So maybe it's moving a little bit offshore at that point. Going forward, let's get into Friday. By midnight Friday, again, you start seeing a little bit of snow and rain showers in Utah and Colorado. Starting to see a little bit more forming into, again, the Four Corners by Friday afternoon. And then we kind of start seeing what could be what is the term that we use for that? A squall line with maybe a negative tilt starting to form over here by midnight Friday or Saturday. So Valentine's Day, we see it entering Texas into Oklahoma. This one does show it be mostly in Oklahoma, more of an Oklahoma, Missouri, and northern Arkansas event, with some of it into getting kind of a squall line over there into Dallas Fort Worth, and some associated cluster of showers down there in southern Texas. By 6 p.m., we see it continue to push out. This one does show again the rain picking up to being heavier over there in Louisiana, Texarkana, and Arkansas by 6 a.m. Sunday. Definitely being heavier for Louisiana and Mississippi. Starting into Alabama, into the rest of Georgia and Tennessee and the Carolinas by Sunday at 3 p.m. Pretty much covering those entire areas by 6 p.m. See, kind of forming a squall line from Savannah River all the way down into the Gulf over here by 9 p.m. Sunday, and we'll start seeing it pushing offshore starting Monday and being offshore of Georgia and South Carolina by 3 a.m. and starting to push off the coast for North Carolina and the mid Atlantic. And of course, Florida's still having some of it. So, again, nothing super impressive. Will this change the run between now and tomorrow when we see it? Yes, it probably will. We'll see what actually happens. Again, these are just model runs. These are not actual predictions at the moment. I think we'll more importantly see if any watches and advisories come out tomorrow or Friday. And then, of course, by Friday, start understanding a little bit more about what the Cape values will be for the instability. Moving on, let's talk about what was likely to happen for the rest of the month of February. As I did mention, we are seeing a flip in temperatures for the month. So for the 6 to 10 day outlook, so from February 17th through the 21st, we will see actually the plains to the Midwest to East Coast being warmer with above average all the way from San Antonio, Dallas, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana definitely being in the greater risk of that. And we start seeing starting to warm up into Colorado and Wyoming as well, and starting to be a little bit more near normal, a little bit pushed further west, and then below normal for the West Coast. Of course, looks like Hawaii will be above normal, and Alaska being below normal. Let's go ahead and move to the next one. So for the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, we will be below normal from basically the southern plains all the way up into the mid Atlantic, with above normal for Southern California into Arizona and southern Nevada, and then that kind of spreading all across Intermountain West into the northern plains into the Ohio Valley and the Mid Atlantic and New England. So that's good news because they do need more rain out there or snow out there in the west, so it is needed for them. I think almost everyone can say here from Texas all the way up to the Mid Atlantic, we could all pretty much use a little bit more uh, drier air as we've been pretty wet weather. It's from ice, snow, or now rain that we're starting to see. Again, below normal precipitation for Alaska and above normal for Hawaii. The monthly temperature outlook. So this is was issued on the last day of January for the month of February. This one is showing still being cooler than normal from the eastern plains, the eastern edge of the plains through the mid Atlantic, all the way down to the south and up the east coast, with above normal from pretty much from Texas, all of Texas, all the way up to the Pacific Northwest, and above normal for about half of Alaska. Interestingly enough, as well. So we are seeing a pattern flip, like as I mentioned. So it will be interesting to see what happens when they issue this on the last day of February, which is literally it will be 2 weeks away from this Saturday. So we'll have to see what they show for that. Monthly precipitation outlook below normal again for Georgia, Panhandle of Florida, and Alabama. Below normal for Northern California, all the way across Intermountain West into Central Plains there. Above normal for the extreme northern half of the West into the Central Plains, and above normal for very southern and southwest Texas, and then equal chances everywhere else. Above normal for southern um, Alaska as well. So that is very interesting and fun to watch. We'll continue to wait and see. We will continue to monitor and discuss more about the CAPE values and unique advisories and outlook of what we can expect going forward for the actual day of Valentine's Day this weekend. So again, just to kind of sum it all up, yes, there's a chance of possible isolated severe storms that may happen anywhere from, I would say, Arizona up into western Tennessee, southern Missouri, and about half, the northern half of Missouri and extreme western northwest half of Alabama for basically from Friday to Saturday. We will continue to see what this looks like going forward tomorrow. We'll have this time actually a 2 day view, so we'll see it for 2 days and see how it changes, kind of where they place the risk of that. Again, I don't think the Cape Valley is going to be high enough for a major outbreak. I don't think the weather conditions are right for a major outbreak. Again, severe weather does not always mean tornadoes. It could be, lightning, heavy rain, hail, high winds, anything like that can happen. As I said, I do say you do see warm and cold air will be mixing, so this is why we are seeing that chance of severe weather, even as small as it may be. It's still worth noting that because of the cold and warm air intermingling, that is why we have the severe weather threat. Again, I don't think this is going to be a record breaking event. I don't think most people will even see necessarily severe weather. I think it will have to wait and see what happens as we inch closer, but I think probably even next 2 days after that, we won't see severe weather further out east as it pushes its way through just because the conditions are not right. We don't have all the right parameters. It doesn't just, you can't just have cold and warm air, cold, dry air, and warm, humid air mixing creates that. You have to have other parameters, and even then, even in the best case scenario, when you have what appears to be all the right conditions, good instability, the right amount of humidity, the right amount of dry air, the right temperatures, sometimes even with the best of those parameters, you still don't even get an outbreak. So don't listen to buy the hype that people are telling you. Follow a trusted weather service. I will continue to be posting updates going forward on this for the rest of this weekend, and we'll look into what will happen for the rest of the month of February. Right now, enjoy the nicer weather and warmer weather. Will be interesting to see how long this taste of spring will last, and it will be interesting to see what will happen as we officially do transition in the month of March, and then seeing, in my opinion, where we probably will have a better chance of severe weather for those who enjoyed watching it. So, right now, just know, yes, there is a small risk. Nothing major looks like is going to happen, which is good news. Obviously, anything major, I mean, anyone being impacted by any severe weather would technically could be considered major depending on what it is. But again, we're not talking about a huge tornado outbreak, flooding events, anything like that, major damaging winds. It's just the values don't look like they will be great enough for that. So take a deep breath. Don't buy the hype. Follow a trusted weather service. Obviously, pay attention to any watches, warnings, or advisories that will be issued. We'll start seeing them probably, if any will be issued, probably will start happening tomorrow. Um, at least for watches, possibly, or advisories, not necessarily warnings that wouldn't happen probably until Friday, since it looks like the greatest risk for severe weather will be Saturday and Sunday. So we'll kind of wait and see if any watches do pop up and see what the SPC releases tomorrow. Right now, take a deep breath. It should be okay. So, yes, you might not be the perfect weather to go out with your loved ones, out to go shopping or out to dinner. If you need to reschedule for another night, if you don't feel like you want to be out in possible bad weather, that's totally fine. Or, if you like rainy weather, it might be the perfect time for you and your loved ones to stay inside, hunker down, and just use an excuse to stay home and cook a favorite meal, watch a favorite movie, and cuddle on the couch, which is totally okay as well. Again, bottom line is don't buy the hype. Yes, marginally, possibly isolated severe weather. Um, but again, the greatest risk would be Saturday into Sunday, and even then, doesn't look like it will be anything major, which is good news. Um, Again, please like and share, comment down below where you are located, what your current weather conditions are like, and I will give you guys an update tomorrow. Thank you.